Coming up on Spartan Sports Report, Michigan State softball looked to get back in the win column as they hosted a pair of in-state foes and traveled to take on a Big Ten opponent. Men's tennis traveled to Ohio State and Penn State last week, looking to improve on a 6-game win streak. And a few of our SSR reporters recap a year of Michigan State sports, from the beginning of football season to a few Big Ten championships in early spring. Welcome into our final episode of the year for Spartan Sports Report. I'm Elijah Kay.
And I'm Deshaun Johnson. In our final show this semester, we have everything from current spring sports to a full recap of all MSU teams from the fall to now. Let's start on the diamond with Michigan State baseball.
Michigan State baseball hosted Central Michigan this past Tuesday. Jacob Donahue got the Chippewas on the board with this RBI groundout to Randy Seymour for the first run of the game. The scoring continued for CMU with this RBI single by third baseman Eli Stewart to give the Chippewas a 4-0 lead. To top off the game, CMU would go on to collect 8 more runs on 9 total hits for the game. Spartans had no answer throughout the game as they wouldn't score any runs on 5 total hits. Following the loss to Central Michigan, Michigan State baseball traveled to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. The Spartans struggled in all 3 games, getting swept and outscored 42-3 in the series. Michigan State will host Western Michigan on Wednesday at 6 from Jackson Field before they open a 3-game set at McLean Stadium against Penn State.
The MSU softball team started its week with a pair of games against in-state opponents, the first coming against their arch-rival Michigan on Tuesday. Michigan State did all it could to stay in the game, but could not overcome the Wolverines' offense onslaught, starting with a home run from Kiki Thole, who would go on to hit 2 more homers and finish with a total of 15 hits. Regardless, the Spartans showed fight throughout despite a tough game and season. They got 3 runs across in the 6th inning through a 2 RBI double by sophomore Britton Bashirs and an RBI single by senior Anna Fox, but despite already facing a 9-run deficit. In the end, the Wolverines stayed on top with an 11-5 win and took the rivalry win. The Spartans looked to bounce back on Wednesday when they hosted Western Michigan for another in-state matchup. Pitcher Madison Taylor started out hot in the circle with 2 big strikeouts in the first inning. Taylor pitched all 7 innings, only allowing 3 hits and only allowing 2 earned runs. The Broncos took on an early lead in the second, but MSU would quickly respond in the third with Alexis Ross scoring on an overthrow by Western's catcher. The Spartans were down 2-1 going into the 5th, but these back-to-back homers from Hannah Hawley and Sidi Dolazeki would put MSU up 4-2. Hawley now has 10 home runs on the season, and Dolazeki is close behind with 7. The Broncos almost made a comeback in the last inning, but the Spartans' defense shut it down to take the win 4-3. After only a few days off, the team traveled to University Park on Friday for a 3-game series against Penn State, and after falling in the first 2 games, the Spartans were looking to bounce back on Sunday with a win. Britton Bashirs led the team, going 2 for 4 with an RBI, and Kayla Bain hit her first home run of the season to secure 2 runs for MSU. The Spartans came out victorious, winning 6-2 and earning their 15th win of the season. They will be back in action tonight in Ann Arbor as they face off rival Michigan for the 2nd time this season.
Number 18 Michigan State men's tennis headed to Columbus to take on number 1 Ohio State this past weekend. Both the Spartans and Buckeyes headed into the matchup with perfect conference records. The Buckeyes were able to capture the doubles point early in 2 straight sets. Michigan State battled back with 4 of 6 singles matches being pushed to 3 sets, though it was Ozan Barish who claimed the lone point for the Spartans at MSU's first against Ohio State since 2013. Michigan State ultimately fell to Ohio State 6-1. MSU bounced back against Penn State on Sunday to take a 6-1 victory. After the weekend, Michigan State now holds a 21-4 record and will close out the regular season in Ann Arbor against rival Michigan on Saturday.
On Saturday, Michigan State track and field competed in 2 meets, with 3 women's distance runners going to California and the sprinters, throwers, and jumpers heading to the James Madison Invite. Kate Stewart Barnett finished in 3rd place in the 3,000 meter, while Katie Osika finished 2nd in the 5,000 meter, both at the Brian Clay Invite. At JMU, Kobe Morlock dominated, winning in a hammer throw and shot put, and the women's 4x100 team won their event with a time of 45.78 seconds. And the men's 4x4 finished in 3 minutes and 14 seconds to earn them a victory as well. Michigan State earned 10 victories across the entire meet. The Spartans have a quick turnaround as the team splits up to compete at 4 different meets throughout the week.
Michigan State women's tennis hit the courts this past weekend. Friday, the Spartans took on Minnesota at the Baseline Tennis Center. MSU started out strong, winning 2 doubles matches, but fell short, losing 4-2 overall. Despite this, Izzy Purser found success tying her 14-match win total from last season. The team then traveled to Wisconsin on Sunday for the final regular season match away from home. MSU could not get in the win column and found themselves losing 4-0. Spartans will compete next in East Lansing this Sunday, where they will honor their seniors on Senior Day.
Elijah, we had a full year of Michigan State sports, and with multiple headlines and highlights. So let's send it over to a few of our SSR reporters who will recap a year in review of Michigan State athletics.
Thanks so much, guys. It was a year full of twists and turns for Michigan State athletics, so we'll start on the field with Michigan State football. Rewinding all the way back to football season, it was a roller coaster of a season for Michigan State football. After starting 2-6 overall and 0-5 in Big Ten play, Michigan State notched its first Big Ten win of the season in an early November victory over Nebraska. In the midst of an uncertain and rocky season, this gave MSU something to be positive about. And just one day after the Spartans finished a 4-8 season, mostly under the leadership of Harlan Barnett, MSU Athletic Director Alan Haller announced the hiring of new head coach Jonathan Smith. The 45-year-old came off a 6-season stint as the head coach of his alma mater, Oregon State, and comes to Michigan State with a few of his own coaching staff and players looking to rebuild Michigan State football into a Big Ten powerhouse. Shifting sports now, Michigan State men's soccer had an impressive season as head coach Damon Rensing led the team to a 7-2-7 record, including a 13-game unbeaten streak that saw the Spartans get 7 wins and 6 draws. During their streak, Michigan State finished in a draw against rival Michigan and Ann Arbor, allowing them to keep the Big Bear Trophy until next season. The Spartans were also able to knock off number 10 Notre Dame during that stretch, proving to be MSU's best win of the season. While men's soccer completed a fall season to be proud of, Ethan, tell us about what all the women's soccer team accomplished this past season.
Yeah, Colby, that's right. Jeff Hostler led the women's soccer team to another incredible season in just his 3rd season as head coach. The team finished 14-5-3, going 7-1-2 in the Big Ten. They were undefeated on the road against conference opponents, beating Wisconsin and Madison for the first time since 1999, and Michigan and Ann Arbor for the first time since 1994. All of that conference success earned Michigan State its 2nd straight Big Ten regular season championship, clinched by a final game 3-0 win against Iowa. The Spartans earned a trip to the NCAA tournament for the 2nd year in a row, hosting Ohio in the first round and winning 3-0. They moved on to earn the program's first ever win in the 2nd round, beating Harvard 1-0 before losing to BYU in the Sweet 16 to end its historic season. With returning talent and top transfers coming to East Lansing, the Michigan State women's soccer team looks to continue to build off of these 3 great seasons. The volleyball team also carried new energy into 2023 in Leah Johnson's 2nd year as head coach. They finished 17-14 overall, which was their most wins since 2018, and had some big wins, including a 3-2 victory over number 13 Penn State in East Lansing. MSU also swept Michigan on the season for the first time since 2006, winning 6 of 7 sets against the Wolverines. They also set a new attendance record in Jennison Fieldhouse by over 1,000 people in their match against Nebraska, and fans packed in all season to watch freshman and 2nd-team All-Big Ten Taylor Hold'em. Hold'em finished 3rd in kills as a freshman all-time at Michigan State with 399, and the Spartans are going into 2024 with momentum.
Yeah, thank you, Ethan and Colby. Lots of fall sports and headlines going on in the fall, but now we transition into the winter where the headlines keep going and the winter sports are just beginning. Starting with men's basketball, one of the most memorable moments throughout the men's basketball season was graduate senior Steven Izzo recording his first ever field goal against Rutgers on January 14th. The crowd loved it, but his dad loved it even more. And Coach Izzo himself received his 700th career victory as a Spartans head coach. The Spartans defeated Michigan 81-62 on January 31st at home for Izzo to reach this milestone. And guys, not only did MSU take down Michigan in the Breslin Center, but the Spartans also won in the Chrysler Center, sweeping the Maize and Blue 73-63 on February 17th. This would snap a 3-year losing drought at the Chrysler Center. And in her first year as head coach, Robin Freilich and the women's basketball team took down Michigan in both East Lansing and Ann Arbor, continuing the sweep for both the men's team and the women's team as well. Freilich and the women's basketball team came out red hot to start the year as well, as they shot a school record 70.9% from the field against Detroit Mercy on November 16th en route to the start of a 12-3 record throughout the first 15 games of the season. And now we move on to the later part of the winter action with the Michigan State wrestling team as they flooded their talent to start the year, as head coach Roger Chandler had high hopes for his team's success. Michigan State would send senior Chase Saldate to wrestle in the NCAA Wrestling Championships at the 157 weight-pound class. Saldate would decide at the end of the year to transfer to the University of Michigan for his final year of eligibility. Senior Caleb Fish would also wrestle in the 165 weight-pound class as well for the NCAA Wrestling Championships. And finally, for Michigan State, they would send senior Lane Malachewski, who would be the final Spartan to compete in the NCAA Wrestling Championships for the 179-pound weight class. Marin, a lot of Michigan State sports going on in the wintertime. We now send it over to you.
Thanks so much, Jack. Michigan State saw 2 winter sports earning Big Ten regular season titles as well as their first ever Big Ten championship titles. So let's now go to Michigan State hockey and Michigan State gymnastics and take a look at their historic seasons. Starting on the ice, Adam Nightingale's second year at the helm with the Spartans started with a bang. The team began the season up in the national polls, but fell after a tough loss to BC in Chestnut Hill. The Spartans did not stay down long, you guys, and MSU answered back with a sweep over number 1 Wisconsin. The team then went on a run after that, earning points in the next 11 games. After a harsh loss to Michigan at home, the Spartans dominated the rest of the season series, including their victory at the Duel in the D. The Spartans secured their first Big Ten regular season title at Wisconsin, and then just weeks later took home their first Big Ten championship title versus Michigan. Individual Spartans earned some accolades, with freshman Artem Levshunov named Big Ten Freshman and Defenseman of the Year, as well as making the All-Freshman team and earning ACHA All-American honors. Trey Augustine was named to the All-Freshman team and All-Big Ten second team, and Coach Nightingale was named Big Ten Coach of the Year and is a finalist for the ACHA Coach of the Year. In the NCAA tournament, the Spartans would see the Wolverines for the 6th time this season and have their historic year ended, but with everything this team accomplished, they will surely be back. Now moving from the ice to the floor, the MSU gymnastics team looked to have another great season as the reigning Big Ten regular season champs and did not disappoint. The season resulted in 4 perfect 10s from 2 gymnasts, with 2 from Sage Kellerman on vault and 1 from the floor and 1 on vault from Nikki Smith. The team went undefeated in the Big Ten and had an overall record of 29-7 and took home their 2nd consecutive regular season title. The Spartans then hosted the Big Ten tournament in front of a sold-out Jennison Fieldhouse, and they delivered for their fans, taking their first Big Ten championship victory, in fact, the same night as hockey took theirs in East Lansing. Junior Skyla Schulte became the first Michigan State gymnast to win the all-around title at the Big Ten Championship, and Coach Mike Rowe was named Big Ten Coach of the Year for the 3rd year in a row. Schulte, along with Smith, is heading off to the national championships for individual events. That is going to wrap up our Spartan Sports Report year in review. Guys, what a year it has been for Michigan State athletics. We have been so happy to bring you all this coverage. Now we're going to send it back to the desk with Deshaun and Elijah.
Thank you for tuning in to our last Spartan Sports Report of the year.
While we won't be back until next year, make sure to continue to follow all of our social media accounts below and read all of our stories on the Spartan Newsroom website. And please watch all of our previous episodes here on the YouTube channel. I'm Deshaun Johnson.
And I'm Elijah K. Thank you, and we'll see you next year.